welcome to this week's webinar. All thank you for attending. So my name is Joel Markham. I'm the CEO and founder of Architect Services, and this week's webinar is about Power Apps for beginners. So we'll give a few minutes just to let people transition from their previous meetings. If this is your first session, then welcome. Thank you for joining. If you're coming back from a previous session, then thank you for returning. I'm going to take you through this one. This is my webinar this week, so I'll take you through Power Apps for beginners. If you've got any questions, just please do feel free to use the meeting chat facility. What I'd be interested in knowing is I guess people's user experience on Power Apps. So if you can just type in the chat window or the meeting chat if you're a beginner, if you're kind of maybe a medium, or maybe you're an expert. If you're an expert, then you might want to, I'll kind of flip to you and you can present the webinar. But it'd be good just to understand the I guess the customer base, the user base of whether you've used Power Apps before. Cool, thank you very much, Benny. So we've got one beginner. A couple of people who haven't used it before. That's fantastic. Thank you. Awesome. So it seems like there's a few beginners, which is pretty good, obvious, really. So thank you very much for confirming. You are on the right webinar, which is great. So Power Apps for beginners is the right webinar for you. If you have used this technology before, then just feel free to jump off and look at the YouTube channel, or stick around if you want to kind of see how we use Power Apps here at Architect Services and how our customers use them. But yeah, let's jump straight in. Thank you very much for everybody who's put a comment in that meeting chat. Much appreciated. So just a bit about Architect Services. Thank you for sorry, I'm just going to do something different. Bear with me. So Architect Services, we'll do a bit about Architect Services. We'll do a Power Apps overview, so like kind of the theory, what is Power Apps, what the types of Power Apps are, what they're used for, and some use cases as well, where they're used in industry. And then we'll do some benefits of the Power App technology, where I see those benefits in our customer base. And then I'll do a demo of the Power Apps technology in a demo environment that we've got, and we'll try and make some changes on the fly to the app itself, or the demo app that we've got. So we'll try and kind of show you an end user perspective, but also making some changes to a Power App. We're not going to start from scratch, and it's just a bit too timely, and there's also lots of videos online from Architect on our YouTube channel that you can go back and see how to kind of start a model-driven app from scratch. So if you haven't done already, please do subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on LinkedIn and Spotify and all that good stuff, because you'll see all the content that we share and create on a weekly basis on those platforms. So just a bit about me and our background. Thanks, Lauren, for putting that in the meeting chat. So I started off my career way back when in Welsh Water. So I was a PMO resource project management officer, and then I went over to Lloyds Banking Group and did a short stint in Lloyds Bank as a project manager, and then I went over to Babcock International Group, and I spent 5 years at Babcock International Group delivering a number of projects in technology and business change, and I ended up being the head of projects and governance for the support services division of Babcock International Group. At that point then, 2018, Architect was formed and started, and I went out. My first customer was Companies House, and I was a consultant over in Companies House, and I helped them to deliver their transformational change portfolio. And just a bit of a background, really. I actually got introduced to, obviously, Office 365. Always use 365 and the technology available in that technology set, but I actually got introduced to the Power App technology in and around the kind of Companies House days when we were delivering project portfolio management solutions. So that's how I got familiar with the Power Apps platform, and Architect was really formed to that point. And now we've got a number of customers, as you can see on the screen: DEFRA, ACAS, IPO, Bays, ONS, and some private sector customers as well. So Betty's and Taylor's, they manufacture Yorkshire tea. So I should say we get lots of free tea, but we don't. And then Simbeck Orion, are a pharmaceutical company that we work with as well. So that's our kind of client base. That's a bit of our journey, a bit of our history, a bit about me. And really what we do at Architect is broken down into 4 key components. So the first one is building solutions. So we take Microsoft 365, which is the Power Platform, as a part of that, and we build specific business solutions for our customers. So most of our customers will already pay for a Microsoft 365 license. through a licensed partner, and they want to extract the most value from that license as they possibly can. So they already have the Power Platform technology or the SharePoint technology or Power BI, but they want to be able to utilize it more, and they've got a specific problem they're trying to solve. So Icotec will go into that customer, understand what they're trying to achieve, and build a technology product to help them achieve those goals and those targets. We have another area of our business, which is the products line of business. So we have a kind of PPM solution, a simple PPM solution that we call IcoPlan, that's available, and some of our customers use that at the moment. And that is actually what I'm going to kind of show you today to prove and to demo the Power Platform and Power Apps, and show you how you can configure that solution. We also have a healthcare product that's in development at the moment that will be coming out in March next year, March 2022, which we're really excited about, reducing harm to patients across the UK using a Power App technology that's in the healthcare space. So watch this space, and there'll be more information on that in the near future, but we're really excited about that. And then of course, service and support. So a lot of our customers, we've built major kind of enterprise-wide Power Apps and other solutions, and they need us to be on hand. So we've got a support desk, so you can email us and we'll create a ticket and take you through a support process to fix a bug or make a minor change, and iterate on those services that we've previously delivered for them. And then consulting. So consulting is like a bit of everything else, really. So a bit of training in there, roadmaps, kind of visionary statements and visionary plans, strategy, and all that kind of good stuff that comes around everything that we do. We apply a consultant to that work to make sure we've got the right requirements, we've got the right objectives, the right benefits, and we're doing everything at value at pace, really, which is really important to us here at Icotec. So that's kind of what we do in detail there, and broke it down to the 4 different sections. In simplistic terms, the technology we specialize in, we're a Microsoft Gold partner, and we specialize in projects. So Project Online, Project for the Web, Project Operations, and Microsoft Project Desktop, of course. And then we also specialize in Power Apps, and we've got a silver competency in application development. So we've got obviously a skilled team of developers here at Icotec that can deliver those applications for you. We also specialize in Power BI, so data visualization, creating those dashboards, pointing at the Power Apps or Project Online or Dynamics 365 and creating those visual dashboards that are aesthetically pleasing, that can allow business leaders and end users to make informed decisions. And then we've got Dynamics 365, which is a CRM platform and marketing tool. So we configure CRM solutions for a number of customers, one of which critically is British Business Bank, who is a new customer for Icotec. We're proud to be supporting their Dynamics 365 implementation at this point as well, which is really exciting. Of course, Microsoft Office has got 48 applications available in it. There's lots of other stuff that we do and need to use to build these applications and these solutions. Power Automate, Teams, SharePoint, and Exchange are just a few of the technologies that we have expertise in here at Icotec. So you're here today, and I've kind of got a good understanding of your expertise and your skills, I guess, and knowledge of the technology. So I will try and keep it basic. Thank you for providing that information. We're going to start off at the basics and go through some slides that help just put things into context. I'll try and take my time and try and just walk through this in a methodical process. But please, if you have any specific questions, just raise your hand or put the question in the meeting chat, and I can come to that question. Really do like these sessions to be dynamic and interactive as much as possible. So if you've got any thoughts, any questions, anything, just put it in the meeting chat, and I'll do my best to answer it. If I can't answer it for whatever reason, I'll go away and get the technical resource to answer the question. I'll come back to you at a later date. More than happy to have a follow-on conversation with anybody that has any questions. Cool. So Power Apps. So I think the first thing to do really is just to clarify something that sits above this slide, which I only realized last minute, unfortunately. But the Power Apps is a technology that's based on something called the Power Platform. So every Office 365 environment has access to the Power Platform. And the Power Platform consists of Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI and virtual agents. We'll forget virtual agents for now, but So one of the 4 components in the Power Platform is Power Apps. And effectively, it's a suite of applications, services and connectors that allow us to connect data together, to connect records together in the system, in the system, and to be able to do a number of different things. So it's almost giving us the tools to go and create solutions in a way. And that solution could be anything, for any organization. It'll range. It could be a desk booking system. It could be a project management system. It could be this is a screenshot of a kind of asset tracking tool for diggers, to see where the digger is, or dumper truck. It's probably a better word for that, but my little one would call it a dumper truck. But yeah, so it's really limitless in what you can build these apps to do. But if you think about SharePoint, if you're used to using SharePoint and creating lists, well, it's giving end users and what they call citizen developers the ability to create systems and create solutions in the 365. All right, so a SharePoint list is just a table. It's a flat file database, effectively, right? But it's a table. Well, Power Apps gives you the ability to create multiple tables and then build these systems together with workflows, with data validation, with logic, and to be able to create any system that you need to create. All right, and it's broken down into lots of different kind of components of the Power App technology. So the apps, I guess, they do give rich business logic and workflow capabilities. So you can take records, an idea, an activity, a project through a series of stages, and you could do that automatically. You could do that manually, and you can also do it with an air of logic. So you can't go through to the next stage until you've done these 3 things. Until those 3 things have been done, this request, this idea, can't go through to the next stage of the process. All right. So it's designed to allow anybody that's not an IT resource to be able to build these solutions. So if you're in SharePoint creating a list, and you could do that quite easily, or if you're a whiz kid in Excel and you could do your if statements and your sums and that kind of thing, and your filters and your pivot tables, I'm pretty confident you could, with a bit of Googling, a bit of searching on our YouTube channel, you could probably go and build your first Power App pretty easily. All right. And then the other thing to think about is the Power Apps themselves. A lot of individuals, when I was talking to them previously, talking about Power Apps, and they were assuming that a Power App is a mobile device, only available on a mobile phone. But it's not. There's different types of apps that can be different form factors, that not just for a mobile phone. But I'll come on to that shortly. Again, I'll repeat, if you have any questions, any thoughts, just, what does this mean? What does that mean? Just chuck it in the meeting chat, and I'll try and kind of address that. So the different types of Power Apps. So within the Power Platform, there's Power Apps, and within Power Apps, there's 3 different types of Power Apps. Complex, I know, typical, but there's 3 different types of Power Apps. So you've got Canvas apps on the left-hand side there. You've got portals in the middle, different color, purple for portals, and then you've got the model-driven apps on the right-hand side there. So if we start on the left, Canvas apps, these are a blank canvas, hence the name. So they are really available to you to create different kind of user interfaces. So you can put forms on a page, and then you can take them through different journeys in the Power App, and you can create them yourself. I would say out of the 3, Canvas apps is the most complex. I started with Canvas apps and I failed quickly because it was a lot less intuitive to create a Canvas app. But they're brilliant if you've got a customer that wants the big red button at the top of the screen that says stop to be big and red. You can, or you want to put a picture up in the process and the journey. Brilliant for that kind of thing. But you have to be able to code that or configure that, and it's a lot more complicated, but brilliant for tablets or mobile phones, or a SharePoint page. If you've got a SharePoint internet page, you want to land a form, a nice looking form with different buttons and different logic and different workflows, Canvas apps is perfect for that. It's really, really good. portals, so portals are an external facing website, so like an extranet, and what they allow you to do is to connect your model or canvas driven app with external resources, so outside of your 365 environment. So say for example, customers of Icotec, you can log on to our portal and you can submit a ticket to the service desk on our portal, and it comes straight into our Power Platform environment. Another use case we want to develop in the future is that, for example, invoices. So if you get an invoice from us, you'll get an email, you'll click on it, and it'll take you to the portal where you could see the invoice in a digital form, comment on it, or whatever, or prove it on that portal. So it's creating a website basically, but using low code, no code technology that's within your 365 environment. So trying to think of other use cases, but I can't think of any. But yeah, that's a different. And the benefit of portals is that it's high user volume, so thousands of users, and there's a number of public sector services actually, particularly with HMRC and other organizations that are developed using that technology. It's a mass scale technology for creating websites that interface with your data internally, hence why this little link here is going up to the cloud. Then on the right hand side is the model driven app. So this is the stuff that really got Icotec excited many years ago. Super cool, being able to create a system with lots of records that are related, take those records through different stages and capture information associated to each of those records. So it's a systematic form factor. You can't change the new button, for example. If you want the new button to be big and red or green and different fonts, you can't do it. You can with a bit of JavaScript, but we just don't ever do it. We say no. It's designed to kind of replace your SharePoint lists that you may be using, again, too big at the moment. If you're trying to create a project with a set of risks or an idea with a set of actions, a model-driven app is definitely the best way to go. Particularly if you've got more than 20 or 30 records in the application itself, the model-driven app is the best place to be. And that's what I'll demo later on, is the model-driven app. And I actually think it's the simplest to build. I'll get your head around as well, particularly if you're used to building lists in SharePoint. You would be okay with a model-driven Power App, basic one. So just a deep dive. This is what I mean by the Canvas app. So you've got these toggles here. Can you see it? Here we go. I hope that you can see my little cursor. So the toggles here are available. I'm just making sure you can actually your cursor. Cool. So the toggles here, you can place these maps, these images, the search window. All that is configurable in the Canvas app itself. Yeah, and you can see how that same app looks different on a mobile phone. So it's been kind of rendered for a tablet, rendered for a PC screen, and then rendered for a tablet form factor, sorry, a mobile phone form factor as well. So this is where you really want to be fluid and creative and give the user a specific user experience. That's where Canvas app is really good. All right, all those three apps I showed you are all part of the same common data service, or now called the Dataverse. So, data going in from the Canvas app can be seen on a model-driven app that can be portrayed to your external users on a portal. It's the same record. If you had like an image for a ticket or an error on a rail track, for example. I know Network Rail use a lot of this technology at the moment, where you can go down the track and you can take a photo on a Canvas app of a crack in the track, or a bolt that's come off the rail. A third-party contractor can go and see that photo that they've taken on the Canvas app on a portal. Yeah, so the subcontractor could go into the portal and see that photo and assign that job to a user, whereas the back office resource in the operational team can use a model-driven app to see all the cracks, all the defects across the whole network. So that's just an example of where you can use the different form factors to create the same solution. It's the same solution at the end of the day, but just using different types of apps to communicate with that. Model-driven apps. So not too much on this here because we're going to come on to a demo of that shortly. But again, it's systematic. It doesn't mean it can't be used on a mobile phone. That little screenshot on the left there is a mobile phone view. So I've got the Dynamics app on my phone, and our desk booking app is on my phone. It's still a model-driven app, but it's just I'm accessing it through an app on my phone. Too many apps there, isn't it? But yeah, it's systematic, it's records, it's not as fluid. You can see there's a business process flow here, and some kind of funnels and some charts and some data, some information you can add into the system. But you can't change these business process flows to be pink or to be blue or whatever. It's red and it's got a bullseye and that's it. Yeah, you can change the number of business process flows and you can change the cards that are on the page, of course, but you're limited really. But that's why it's really good for using high volume of records. Yeah, if you've got kind of bays at the moment that you use it to track the kind of the grant management system that we built them. It's got thousands of applications in there. It's about being able to filter all the applications by stages or by budget or kind of postcode or whatever it might be, where you're managing thousands of records. Model-driven app is perfect for that. All right. So portals. So this is, as you see here, it's again, it's available on a tablet. It's available on a mobile phone or on a PC, but it's a website. So it's like going to Safari. Is it Safari on your mobile phone? Oh, I shouldn't say that. Actually, it's an Apple thing, isn't it? But it's about going to one of these, Safari, and just landing on a portal or a website. You can still access the portal using a mobile phone or a tablet or the PC, but it's that external facing website. It's the gateway into your Dynamics 365 environment or Power Platform technology, and it's effectively a website that you can build, and you can build it using not being a website developer. You can drag and drop those kind of cards into a portal and publish it, and then within a couple of minutes later on your website, architect services, whatever it is, .portals, you'll be able to have a sign in button and then log into the portal itself. Again, all those if it's an issue or a bug that someone creates on that portal, it will create that record in the Dataverse, which then other users can access on their model-driven app or their Canvas app. So, it's really all encompassing, and I hope I'm kind of giving you the breadth of the technology really. But the brilliant thing about portals for me and for a technologist is authentication. So you can authenticate into portals using a number of the new technology services. So LinkedIn. So instead of creating an account, you can go onto a portal, press sign in, and sign in with a LinkedIn account. So you don't have to worry about authentication keys or giving usernames or passwords out. You can just make it available to your LinkedIn community, or put some rigor around it, or your authentication into the service itself is managed for you. You could even use Facebook and Twitter as well, or a Microsoft account. So you don't have to worry about kind of security controls or processes. You can create a user, link it to their Facebook profile, and then when the user hits the website, the portal, they can hit sign in with their Facebook account, and off they go. All that stuff is really important to us. It's got to be deployed correctly, and I encourage you to reach out to us if you're in that space or need a portal. There's a lot of things to do. It's not as simple as I've just articulated it, but the benefit is there and the capability is there to be able to use those technologies to authenticate and log into this website. So, and that's where if you've got thousands of users, using those type of authentication methods are really important, really valuable, rather than having to create 1,000 user accounts for everybody and then have the password reset or manage that process, and that information is quite time consuming. All right. Again, I'll reiterate, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the meeting chat window. Any kind of thoughts, or just what does that mean? Can you go back to those points? I'm more than happy to go back to anything or to answer any questions that anybody has. The one thing I added, but I haven't really referred to it in the previous slides, apologies, is something called data flows. So data flows are really cool. So data flows is a way of connecting third-party data to the Power Platform. Yeah, so if you've got projects held in Project Online, maybe, which is a SharePoint solution, which is not in the Dataverse or the Power Platform. Or if you've got Salesforce, where you've got all your customers in Salesforce, or Xero with all your invoices in Xero. Okay, you can use data flows to go and draw down that data, those records individually, and put them in your database. All right. The brilliant thing about that is that you're not having to use Power BI to look at 2 different data sets. You know, you've got one version of the truth in your Azure data lake, right, in the Dataverse here, and you're using data flows to bring that data into your Dataverse. And then you can use Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate, Dynamics to do whatever you want. All right. So one of the use cases we're developing at the moment is that if you're on our Icotec page or LinkedIn site in the future and you put a comment on there, you know, the data flow will be able to pull down from LinkedIn that comment, you know, into our CRM system, and then notify me or whoever it is that somebody's made a comment about Icotec or asked a question. You know, that's using an external facing service in a Power App. It is a Power App with a data flow in the middle, and it's a really brilliant technology. Data flows in the Power BI service is the same principle, the same technology. Yes, it is the same technology, but it is it's almost bringing it directly into the Power Apps, Andy. So a data flow connecting through an OData feed, for example, to you know, a repository like Salesforce or something like that, is almost bypassing and creating those records in a cube in Power BI. Whereas what this is doing, it's saying rather than Power BI looking at, say, for example, you know, system 1, system 2, and system 3, which you've connected using those OData feeds, which is the similar technology, it's saying, and that Power BI report probably taking quite a lot of time to refresh, you know, because it's pulling all the thousands of records down into its own live cube in Power BI. Data flows are saying every night or upon every action, bring all these records from those 3 systems and put it into my Dataverse here, this middleware almost, and therefore I can connect Power BI to that, and it's quick. It's just super seamless because it's not having to refresh the data every time. You know, upon a customer going into a certain stage in Salesforce, you can run that data flow, bring that data out, and then be able to report on that in Power BI or Power Automate, virtual agents, all those other things. So yeah, very, very similar, same technology. They've just gone one step further with it, which is brilliant. So it just helps. Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things I'm super excited by data flows. If anything you take away, please take away data flows because they're really, really cool. But no, we'll get back to the Power Apps technology. But it allows us to use a Power App self-built in your 365 environment. And then if you've got disparate technology solutions available to you, like Monday.com, God, that thing, I can't believe I said that, but yeah, Monday.com or any of those other kind of record information management systems, you can bring them in using data flows. Yeah, cool. Let's jump straight in. Thank you for the question. H&M. So H&M use the Power Apps to create a flexible mobile app for flexi working hours and locations. So this isn't just, you know, Icotec down in Cardiff Bay with 20 of us building Power Apps. This is enterprise grade technology, right? I talk about this being used in government and, you know, senior kind of officials seeing data that's all tracked and managed in Power Platform technology. You know, there's dashboards that are being created by Icotec in this Power Platform technology that's used at the moment for the management of COVID information and spend across constituencies and constabularies within public sector at the moment. So this technology is huge scale. It's you know, but it's available to everybody. You know, everybody's got a 365 license can access this technology, which I think is really, really, really cool. And whether you're building a simple dashboard or a simple app to do ideas across your business, or a desk booking app in Icotec's perspective, or management of a $3 billion portfolio of projects, you know, the Power Platform technology can do all those things. The other use case is the Toyota Motor Company. So you know, it's got 400 apps in that organization. And they're doing COVID screening, COVID management, And that's something that we're really passionate here at Icotec about doing as well. So in the future, you'll be able to walk into iChub, use the facial recognition that from Windows Hello to identify that it's Joel, or somebody else, and then it'll take a temperature. So we've got a kind of USB device that kind of reads your temperature, and then records that temperature, and then will direct you to the desk you've booked on that desk booking app as well. So the technology you can use to help manage your COVID security controls or health and safety controls is really, really important. And as I say, this is 400 apps in Toyota at the moment and growing. I know NHS Scotland as well are building out a number of Power App technologies for healthcare. So where you go into a hospital in Scotland in the future, the Power Apps technology will be used to control your case and record your data as you go through the hospital and the services they provide, of course. So yeah, really cool, really powerful, really valuable technology. And then, I mentioned it before, but our desk booking app here at iChub is all on the Power Platform technology. So we've got some unique requirements, letting visitors in and kind of hot desking, all that kind of good stuff. So we've just built our own using the standard template that's available that we've customized and configured. All right. So benefits. So there are lots of good benefits of the Power Platform. I think it's immediate, and it's an immediate increase to productivity as well. So if you're doing an expenses system, you just want to be able to track your expenses and assign to your customers. You can go and it's immediate. You go onto the system, you go into the solutions, you make a change, you publish it, and you've got a system that works. You can reduce your in-app development costs, and what that means for me is that if you're using a major technology like SAP or IFS or Oracle, you'll be amazed how many customers come to Icotec because they're using these products and they're just ridiculously expensive to go and build a little module over here, or they've got to go and spend thousands of pounds to buy that bolt-on module, whereas actually we can connect with that data, build a Power App very quickly, and obviously it's a lot less cost. So and therefore that solution they've just invested, which they need for 95% of the requirement, they've got these fringe apps available to them then in the Power Platform technology. And of course, if you're an IT resource, so I used to work in, I've always worked in IT departments, but you get lots of requirements from your business, so being able to give them the Power Platform and say, look, go and use the technology and build it yourself, just like you build an Excel spreadsheet, right, or a SharePoint list, that reduces demand on IT teams and the application support teams as well. So it really is a number of benefits in this space. I think the deep dive it, getting started quickly. If you just go to make.powerapps.com, you can get the Power Apps, right? It's not, you don't have to go and buy something. Well, I suppose you do have to go and buy the license, but you have to go and download a product set or kind of build an environment. It's, if you're using Microsoft 365 right now, obviously don't do it on your work computer if you're not kind of allowed to, but if you're using a personal Microsoft 365 environment, just go to make.powerapps.com and you've got access to all that stuff I've just talked about, and that's exactly what we do as a development team and Microsoft partner, is go to that environment, that URL, log in with our accounts, and we start building. So it's super quick to get going, and you can actually use the out of the box apps as well. So if you've got a GitHub, you can download out of the box apps to get you started quickly. I really haven't ever got stuck. I'm trying to pick my words wisely. Of course, there's certain things you can't do. A Power App can't fly you to the moon, right? But from the customer base that we work with, that we showed at the start of the call, we've never had anything as a requirement that we haven't been able to do in the Power Apps technology. It really is without compromise for the technology itself. Of course, if somebody wants to do something super complex and super kind of logical, with many ifs and buts and many complications in that business kind of journey, then we have to do, there's manual kind of workarounds in some cases. But some of the manual workarounds the customers don't even know, the end users don't even know exist, like exporting data into an Excel file and then Power Apps picking up the data from an Excel file and putting it into a Power App, so the end users of those kind of systems, in that example, it was an on-prem service, an on-prem application in a cupboard somewhere, with a rostering tool that was not available on the cloud, so there's no way of getting the data into the Power Apps cloud technology. So we're able to, it was a real blocker for that customer, but we're able to use a little bit of something called robotic process automation, which is a very posh word for saying a macro in Power Automate, and it would pull the data out of that rostering system, put it in a SharePoint file, and then Power Apps would point to that SharePoint file for the timesheet and the rostering solution services for that particular healthcare customer. So, real big problem. Can't do this, but with the Power Apps technology and all those little tools available to us, we were able to build that. So, real benefit there. The next one is, I need to do next again, don't I? Here we go. So I think because it's low code, no code technology, so you don't have to be a developer to use it. I think there's almost this stigma that Power Apps isn't useful for developers, but more and more conversations I'm having now with what I would call pro developers, people that are coders, writing language, writing applications from the ground up, far more technical than I am, are seeing the value of the Power Apps technology, and that to build something simple as a module or a component of a wider customized service, they can use the Power Apps technology and they can connect using the custom connectors that we have available to us in the Power Apps technology. So if you are like a super kind of application developer, there is a ability to extend and integrate with those applications as well. So yeah, that's becoming more popular as we go forward, as we're seeing in our customer base. Any other questions? Any questions at the moment before I go on to the next one? Nope. Cool. Demo, here we go. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to try to take my time, try not to whiz through it, because I know that there's a couple of people that haven't seen this technology before. So I'm just going to go here. Here we go. So if you just go to make.powerapps, make.powerapps.com, hit enter. I'm obviously in a demo environment here, okay? So this is not kind of similar to what you would see, but the important thing to think about first before getting started is where your data is going to sit. All right, so you can create your data. You can start from data, as it says on the screen here, and you can start from data in your Dataverse, in Excel Online, so a file that's stored in SharePoint or your OneDrive, right? Or you can go to an SQL server if you want to. But if I just click on this here and just go to other data sources, it just gives you the kind of the ability to create multiple different connections. Oh, not in Europe, right? Sorry, all the United States. Whoops, there we go. Get started. So it's demo environments. I haven't been in here before, but the point I'm trying to make is you can create all these different, you can use these different connectors to pull the data. So you can even use Google Drive, Google Sheets, whatever Informix is, MySQL, Salesforce I talked about earlier, Zendesk. So all these different products you can connect with, and you can look at your sandbox, the different versions, or you can create different environments to you can connect with different environments for different data sets, right? If you're a beginner to this, I've probably gone way too deep straight away, but it's just my technology brain working, where it's just great to know that your data can sit in a number of different places. At the moment, we're going to concentrate on all our data being stored in the Dataverse. All right. So the Dataverse is something that everybody has. Every 365 user has the Dataverse. Right. So if you're a Microsoft 365 user, you've got a Power Apps license or a trial, and you go into make.powerapps.com. It might take a while to load the first time. The reason it's doing that is because it's creating your Dataverse for you. Your Dataverse is like your cloud. It's like your world. It's where everything lives. And the Dataverse is broken down into these components on the left-hand side here. Tables. There's tables for everything you can think of. All right. If you think of this list, you think, oh, it's quite short. We've got programs, we've got letters, we've got names, ideas. All these tables are if you're drawing your kind of schematic or your schema, they're your multiple SharePoint lists, right? But if you go to here, the drop down here, this is the default ones. You can actually look at all of the tables. So there's hundreds of tables in the Dataverse, right? There's data lake workplaces, there's emails, there's entity keys. Like it just comes out of the box with all this stuff. And these are all the tables that are used in the different applications to deliver a solution or a service. All right. The thing to get, like, it took me a while to get my head around was actually, the kind of what is a table. Well, a table is I come back to, it's a SharePoint list or a sheet on an Excel spreadsheet. And a table consists, if you click on the table, so this is the account table. So in other words, this might be a customer. So these are all the fields that we would want, or the columns, as they call it, that we'd want to capture in in this table. So again, lots of fields, as many as you really ever need, but you might have, your SLAs, your status, your website. So this is a URL, and there's different types of fields. So they've actually renamed it, as you can see, to columns. This is part of the problem with the Power Platform, is they rename things very quickly. So, excuse me, we can create a column called, what we're going to call it, type. Anything else? Okay, let's call it like summary. All right, so it's just, we're creating a column in a table. So you've got to work almost from the ground up. So you visualize your system. You think, I need these tables. What do I need to capture in these tables? Well, I need to capture this information. So now I'm going to go look at my table and look at the columns in each of my table, and get on a whiteboard, get scratching it out, just trying to articulate what exactly you need, or just have a go within a safe environment, of course. You've got different, like in SharePoint, with different columns and different column types. You can have all these different types of columns. So you've got currency, you've got multiple text line, you've got your file, if it's an upload of a file of a document, date and time, date only, language, never really used language, but time zone, if you really want to, duration versus whole number, a phone number versus a ticker symbol. To be fair, we only ever really use text, URL, phone, maybe some numbers, and the choices are really important. So choice is the ability to create a drop down. So if you noticed over here, it's a bit grayed out at the moment, but in the Dataverse, you've got choices. So you can use a choice in different tables. So a choice might be status. And if you're like me, where you're red, amber, green, literally is the only thing I probably say. I say it many times a day. We code red, code amber, code green. You just create a choice called RAG, and then you can use that choice in many different fields across your tables. Hopefully that makes sense. And all these are, the choices that we've already created in this field. Once you've selected your choice, you can then select your default value. Just similar. I'm going to sound like I'm on repeat, but just like SharePoint. So I'm going to go to create this. Actually, in this use case, it's a summary of the defaults. No default option is going to be selected upon the record creation. With the Power Platform, it obviously takes this data, this technology from Dynamics 365. And in Dynamics 365, something that's really, really cool is the ability to have optional, recommended, and required as field types. In SharePoint, in the old days, it was required or not required, one or the other. Dynamics gives us the ability. Power Platform gives us the ability to have three types. So recommended, it'll be a little blue asterisk, which means like you should put something in here, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. Required, obviously, it's a red, and so on and so forth. So optional, recommended, and required. I've just noticed that's actually kind of changed in there. So you've got the ability to say, it's recommended, it's optional. So optional is, I'm going around houses here. Optional is it's there, you don't have to do it. Recommended is the blue asterisk, and then required is the red. It's the red like that, is there? Phew, got there in the end. And then you can save the field. You could do lots of other things to this field. You can enable security, auditing. So every field that you create, you can audit, and it'll track the changes. So that Joel made the change to that field on that day, or you could turn it off. So you don't have to use all the thing if you don't want to. But that is obviously really, really cool if you want to go back and see that field was £10,000 today, yesterday. Now it's 20, but actually 3 months ago it was changed by Lauren and it was 5,000. So you can actually see every person has changed that record or that field over the lifespan of that record. You also have the ability to do calculations and roll-ups. So you can, if this was a kind of number field, just as an example, you could say, you know, if the status is this, then add these two fields together. If not, don't do anything. And to be fair, like once you get your head around this stuff, like this is really the value of building a quick model-driven app. So I'm going to go save my field. I'm going to put it into the repository. I'm going to have to remember what I called it now. I think it was summary, wasn't it? Here we go, summary. It's highlighted in bold just to remind me because I forgot. And it gives it all the system kind of preferences, all the technical stuff in the background has already been completed. And I'm going to save that field into the table. All right. It takes a while to save. This is a kind of almost in the old world, it's the back end of the system. So it's not the front end, it's the kind of back end of the system where we're building the tables, building the fields and building the system out. And then you can publish and then push it into the front end as you might kind of use that terminology in the past. And we're logged into the front end of the application now. So I'm able to go and see all these kind of types of records. So these are my requests, so project requests. In this example, this is a project management solution. So this is a request coming into the system, and I can go and kind of influence or design or build this system out and these forms out using this is the Power Apps technology. In this case, we've got something called portfolios, and then we've got programs, and then we've got projects that sit underneath that. And I'm just going to go to the projects entity because it's the most logical. But I'm going to go into a project, and here I've got all my other related tables to a project. So a project is my record management system, you know, it's all the projects I want to do across my business. And then that's a table in itself called project, right? And there's another table then called work package. So, and what I've done is create a relationship between a work package and a project. And then what that allows me to do is to be able to surface all the work packages that are associated to that project. All right, and you can create that one-to-many relationship. So you can see in SharePoint, you've got effectively, you could create a project list very easily. And you could probably create something similar to this in terms of a view with columns in it. But as soon as you go into the record, in a SharePoint list, you've just got one flat file form. Here you've got the ability to bring in multiple different related records to a parent record. All right, so that's the benefit, and that's what we're doing here is we're building a solution that could take us through a process. And this is project, but it could be holiday request, it could be staff member, it could be an idea across your business. It really doesn't matter what it says on the screen here. It's the logic and the concept of it. These are the business process flows. So you can see here, this is a business process flow that we've defined in this demo environment where you're taking a record, in this case, a project, through an agile methodology. So we're saying it's discovery, then it goes on to alpha. If the business case has been approved and it's had sponsor approval, it'll go on to the next stage, hopefully. Here we are, cool. Of course, when you get more used to building these things, you can put logic into, okay, that is actually not me saying yes, it's actually me saying gain approval, and it'll use Power Automate to send out a flow to go and do that. So what I want to do, though, I'm conscious I'm running out of time. I want to go and take a field and put it through the process. So I'm just going to use this quick example here. I'm just going to go in here and go, this is a work package, test work package. Can't spell. Here we go. This is work package number 1. This is the test and demo of Power Apps, blah, 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 blah. This is proposed because these are all the fields we've created. So effectively, a developer for in your customer base, or Icotec can build these. Yeah, so it's created the fields, created the drop downs, created the lookups, and spent a number of hours just building all these fields out and putting them into forms. All right, so I'm going to go save this, although I'm pretty sure it's going to shout at me at some point. Here we go. So it creates that work package ID automatically, and then I'm able to save that, and this is showing me the test work package within this project. All right, so bear in mind that's the front end, which we struggled to get into. Thankfully, we now got into. Now I gotta go back to the back end, right? So I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to the table itself. The other complication, which is a bit annoying, is that there's something called solutions. So solutions are kind of packages, I guess, of tables, and you can take a table from your Dataverse and put it into a solution, and you can make changes in your solution that's not in your Dataverse. Complex, I know, but the point is you can have an accounts table here that you can have 3 different versions of it because it's in 3 different solutions. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go and look at this solution here, and we're going to go and find the table called work packages. All right, so there it is. Work package is the table, and the fields should be, fingers crossed, touch wood, the same as that was in that front end view down here. You'll notice there's not many that come up at the moment, and that's pretty sure because I've got a filter on. It always defaults to default, which is a bit annoying. But the other reason why they're not here actually is because I've gone into a solution that's only a subset of the kind of components. So all the fields will actually be available in a previous version of the solution. I won't go into that for now, just because I don't want to take up too much time. They're kind of almost in the previous version of the solution, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to create this work package. I'm just going to say, target date. Yeah, I'm going to create a date field, date only, don't really care about the time. I'm going to go, it's a required field. It has to be entered before it'll save. Press done, and you'll see its target date there has appeared. I'm going to save the table first. Obviously, there's lots of other things to think about, lots of other things to work through here, but in its simplest form, it's a table creating columns and then creating forms, publishing it, and then going to the application, which is the front end, to be able to use that. All right. I've got a couple of minutes left, and I'm just going to do this very quickly. But are there any questions on the call? Any other thoughts? If you've got any questions, I can do my best to answer them. Apologies for the bit of the error there at the end. So I've gone into the form now itself, so the form that you saw me created in the front end of the system, and I've now got to go and drag my field in that I created earlier on called target date. All right, so I'm literally going to drag that field up into here. I'm going to put it down there. You can see it's got that red asterisk on it, which is because I've made it a required field. All right. One thing you could do is you can save, you can exit or save as a different form, or you could go straight to publish. For time here, I'll just go straight to publish, and I'm now pushing my field up to the application, the front end of the application itself. All right. And of course, what Shantine's done here with this demo, this application and previous examples, so she's created multiple solution layers. So it's almost like a version history. So that's why when you go into the work packaged field or table here, it's not available. It doesn't show all the fields that are already there because they're in the other versions. So I'm just going to go back a minute. Just quickly, these are all the tables that are part of this solution, this application. You can see the other things, the other components of this app, which are chatbots, other apps we can bring in, flows, processes, and so on and so forth. So, and web resources as well. So we can bring in different images from different kind of websites that we can use then. If you're used to building websites, you'll know what I mean. Sometimes you have to host an image externally and then deliver it on your website. So that's the kind of concept there. So that form is updated. It's the information form. I'm just going to double check I don't have to publish the whole thing, because sometimes you need to publish the whole solution as opposed to just the individual change you've made. So I'm going to go back to the front end of the system, and I'm expecting now that my field I've created with a date field that's required to be completed is now going to be available on my work package form that's associated to my project. I think. Fingers crossed that's what's going to happen. If it doesn't, I'll call it quits and call it a day, because I've already had one rocky patch, but overcame that one. So there we go. Thank God for that. So that field there at the bottom is now available as a target date. I can't save and close that unless that target date is filled out. All right, and you can see here as I've clicked it, it's a target date field, and I've got to select the date to which it to be completed, and then I'm able to save and close. Ooh, I do know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think just 1 minute ahead of time now. So I want to bring it to a close. I've tried to be as back to basics as possible. I think it's really difficult to go all the way back to basics, but thank you, Kirsty, for your comment, and thanks for attending. I think it's really important that you guys, if you're interested in the Power Platform technology, join the next sessions in the Power Platform conversation. Subscribe to us on YouTube, or email us at info@icotechservices.co.uk. Connect with me on LinkedIn. More than happy to jump on a call for half an hour or an hour just to have a chat, just to show you what you could do in more detail. We've had a number of conversations with people where they've just been trying to fix one problem, they've been stuck. Our development team are more than happy to jump on a call after hours with you guys just to answer any specific questions that you have, or actually help you fix a problem or unblock a blocker in your Power Platform development. So hopefully you've got an insight into what it can do, the capability of the technology, how you can use it, who else uses it, and how you can start making changes to a model-driven app. So fingers crossed you've seen some value from this and some benefit. So thank you very much for attending. It's much appreciated. Is there any other questions, any other points that anybody wants to raise? Cool, thanks, Andy. Yeah, absolutely. The problem with it is it just sparks creativity and almost options and ideas in your mind of what you can do. When I saw this technology 4 years ago now, my mind, I couldn't sleep for weeks. Still can't sleep, but that's another problem. But yeah, the potential for opportunity here, and whether you're building a simple system just to manage your ideas or your activities or your trackers, or you're building an enterprise-wide kind of portfolio program, kind of grant management system, whatever it is, or a CRM solution, you can do all of that in the Power Platform technology, which is really cool. Cool. Thank you for your time today. Much appreciated. If there are any other questions, please do let me know. As I say, thanks, Nikki. Thanks for joining. And yeah, it definitely causes your brain to think about other options. So hopefully I've influenced a positive evening for you all. Thanks for your time. I'm going to stop waffling. Look forward to catching you on the next one. And yeah, thank you very much for joining. Much appreciated. Cheers, guys.